I didn't mean to come home early. The weather turned, the fish stopped biting, and I felt done before I could explain why. I drove the last hour with the radio off, rehearsing nothing, expecting nothing. When I pulled into the drive, my first thought was that the house looked smaller than I remembered, like something already letting go of me. The front door was unlocked. That should have been ordinary. It wasn't. Inside, the air smelled wrong. Lemon cleaner, not dinner. Boxes sat along the hallway wall, carefully labeled in my wife's handwriting. Not moving boxes exactly, more like preparation boxes. Sorting boxes. The kind you make when you're pretending you still have time. I heard my daughter laughing outside. Not the quick laugh she used with me, but the polite one she'd learned somewhere else. Adult laughter. Accommodating laughter. I didn't go to the porch right away. I set my keys down too quietly and noticed a folder on the kitchen table, open like it had nothing to hide. Floor plans. A glossy brochure with our lake house on the cover, the light edited kinder than reality. A price circled in pen. My wife stood in the doorway to the bedroom, holding clothes she wasn't folding. Her eyes were red, but dry now, like she'd already decided when the crying would stop. "You're early," she said. I was done, I said. It felt inadequate. Everything did. Outside, the laughter rose and fell in practiced rhythm. Realtors. I knew the sound of it then, the way people perform ease when money is nearby. She didn't defend herself. That hurt more than if she had. She just nodded, once, like she was agreeing with a verdict she'd already accepted. "It was supposed to be easier," she said. "If you weren't here." That sentence stayed with me. Not cruel. Logistical. I walked past her and onto the porch. Two strangers stood with my daughter near the railing, gesturing out toward the water like it belonged to them temporarily. She beamed at them, proud, like she was hosting. I don't blame her. Someone had taught her this was normal. One of the realtors turned, smile already assembled, then recalibrated when he saw me. My daughter froze, mid-laugh. "Oh," she said. "Dad. You're back." "Yes," I said. I didn't look at the water. I didn't look at the brochures in their hands. "I am." They introduced themselves. I didn't offer my name. Not yet. I stood there longer than necessary, long enough for discomfort to arrive and settle. Then I excused myself. No drama. No accusation. I walked back to my truck and sat with the door open, phone in my hand, the lake breathing quietly behind me like it always had. I made one call. Not to a lawyer I'd never met, not to a friend who would inflame me. I called the bank officer who had signed our last refinancing papers. I asked a question I already knew the answer to, just to hear it said cleanly. "No," she confirmed. "That can't proceed without both signatures." I thanked her. I didn't explain. When I walked back onto the porch, something had already shifted. The realtors were quieter, smiles replaced with administrative concern. One of them asked, carefully, if I was aware of the listing. "I am now," I said. There was a pause. Not dramatic. Professional. One of them checked his tablet, then looked at my wife. "We'll need to stop for today," he said. "There's a documentation issue." The word issue did a lot of work. It didn't accuse anyone. It didn't take sides. It simply intervened. My wife's shoulders dropped, just a fraction. Relief passed through her before she could stop it, followed immediately by something like grief for herself. My daughter watched us, confused, sensing adult weather change without knowing why. The realtors left. The laughter went with them. Inside, the house felt heavier, like it had been holding its breath for days and wasn't sure it was allowed to exhale yet. "I wasn't trying to betray you," my wife said finally. "I was trying to survive." I believed her. That didn't make it easier. We sat at the kitchen table where we'd once argued gently over whether we could afford new windows or needed another year. Where we'd celebrated the lake house not with champagne, but with takeout and spreadsheets and a shared, exhausted smile. "You didn't trust me to say no," I said. It wasn't an accusation. It was a fact. She nodded again. That was her habit now. Nothing was resolved that day. Not the marriage. Not the house. Not the quiet fear that had led her to pack alone and cry efficiently. But something had been reclaimed, not the dream itself, but the right to stand inside it and decide together. That night, I slept in my own bed. The boxes stayed where they were. The lake was still there in the morning, unchanged, indifferent. Power didn't announce itself. It just settled back into place, quiet and undeniable, like a key returned to the right pocket.